Hi, I'm Rafa Benitez. You are watching the Redmen TV.
Lazar Markovic. Now we talked about this earlier in the week prior to the transfer window shutting. Whether it made entire, I don't think we. Can you remember whether we had entire consensus on whether that was a good move or not?
I don't think it is personally.
But what I looked at since, I didn't know this at the time, but I confirmed by googling it. Fenerbahce are obviously in the Europa League, obviously Google, and that's the kind of thing that winds me up about it, is that he's gone to a fucking. He's going to end up playing Europa League football when he should probably just be playing fucking. You know, we're going to look at like players that Liverpool should be bringing in, and if he goes and does well there, and Liverpool struggle in the Europa League for whatever reason, that's going to. I suppose this is the same as the Aubrey argument to some extent. That's going to fucking wind me up. Equally, if he goes to Fenerbahce, Chris plays in the Europa League and is a massive pile of shit, then maybe we kind of know.
I don't know. I think the premise is wrong on that. If he goes and has a good fucking season and comes back to us, then he might not have got Europa League football for us.
Yeah.
That ultimately, you'll base it on the fact that he would be playing in the Europa League side. You don't know that.
Well, what I'm saying more along the lines is, it's in terms of having an option. If he's good enough to go and play in a Europa League side at that level, that's the level of football that Liverpool are at. You know, I guess it falls down to, do we genuinely believe that the options we've got at the club are more effective than him? And I know time's going to tell on this, but let's speculate. Let's speculate wildly. And when you think of like Jordan Ives completely unproven at that level, Markovic actually is proven at that level.
Yeah, but what if Markovic can't play in the Premier League and that's the problem?
Yeah.
What if he's fine in a really slow-paced game against European opposition, but he can't cut it in the fucking Premier League because they're bigger and they're stronger players and they're faster? Do you then keep a player who you can literally only play in one competition because that's the style of football that suits him, or do you fuck him off because he can't actually help you for 38 games of a season?
That's a very good point. A very good point. I had a bit of a fucking revelation on this, somewhat of an epiphany driving in this morning, and it is about the Europa League and how I really want to win the Europa League this season.
Is that to get in the Champions League?
No. Even fuck that. That'd be that's a fucking nice bonus. Like, you know what I mean? I
just like to not have shit games to watch.
Yeah, but honestly, what I don't want what I've had enough of now is that this is like the experiences. You're like, well, we had a young squad and we fucking, we didn't, if we crash out of the fucking Europa League and insert excuse here, fuck that, I can't be arsed with that anymore, because look at it in terms of like Liverpool's seeding in European rankings. This is what it was all kind of coming from, is that Liverpool no longer have any standing at the top table in Europe in regards to the Champions League, which is why we end up shittily ranked when we actually went in, even though we probably should have got that group regardless. Our success was built. Look how we rose we were the highest ranked club in Europe in like after the Champions League final around that era, and that's not just because we went and won the Champions League. That's because we won the UEFA Cup in 2001. We were consistently good hereabouts in Europe, and then we went into the Champions League, and then we won the Champions League, and we stayed in and around the top, and we were good. And that wasn't just built on Liverpool Champions League club. That was built on Liverpool, the UEFA Cup side. Liverpool need to go and have a great showing in the Europa League this year, as far as I'm concerned. There can be no more excuses. And as much as we get fucking pissed off playing shit R5 games on a fucking Thursday or whatever, if Liverpool can't get to the semis or the final of this competition, then that's an absolute fucking disastrous season for me, as far as I'm concerned. Because when does it start? You can't just you can't just expect to get in the Champions League and compete if you can't compete in the Europa League. What's the point? And that's where it feeds in with the Markovic thing for me, is that there's a guy who's been to technically a final, but realistically semi-finals of that competition. He knows what he's doing. He's good enough to play at that level. I don't give a shit that he's only going to play in the fucking Europa League games and the cup games. If he can go in and have an impact at that level, he absolutely should be doing.
You're more likely to get. I think Markovic has got a better showing against Ruben Kazan than Kent has. Is kind of that argument, and I completely concede your point. I don't know.
I suppose he's not fit for the Europa League games if he's not playing football around.
But then it's Kent. Joe, he can be playing the same football as that. I don't want us to. I think we should try and win every competition we go into, because we need to start winning again. Winning breeds a winning mentality. We've lost all our winners. Like, you're looking at the squad, there's only really Milner who's actually won anything of real note. Torre.
Yeah.
And then so first team players is Milner. A bunch of kids who've never won anything, and they bottled it. They bottled it in that semi-final against Villa, and the fans did the reverse of bottling it. The fans took it for granted because they're Liverpool fans who were used to winning, and the players are kids who are not used to winning.
Yeah.
And it's a strange dynamic. We need to go in there and say, look, okay, it's fucking shit. Fans can get pissed off. It doesn't really affect us. 35-30, it's still a game against a European team. Beat them. Sevilla are flourishing because they've took the Europa League seriously.
Yeah.
And there's one thing there where it adds, let's look horribly pessimistic at it, it adds a hell of a lot more millions to the value of your good players when the big clubs come swooping in. Or it makes those players better players because they've played on a European level. So if we do finish top 4, or if we win the Europa and we get a Champions League spot, we don't fucking make a mug of ourselves.
I'm just sick of the fucking excuses. I'm sick of the fucking all this fucking bullshit like fucking 4th place in the fucking Premier League's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd take a 7th place finish in the Premier League and win the Europa League this season all day long. And because ultimately, what's the fucking point? What's the point of finishing 4th? Yeah, you get loads more money. But we're fucking shit in Europe anyway. What's the point of being in there? What's the point in taking a step up again? We got murdered in the Champions League last season. Yeah, exactly. What's the point? You know, you've got it's meant to be about fucking development. We've been in absolute shambles in Europe for 5 years. Where that's Liverpool's bread and butter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what's been keeping us afloat since the last fucking title.
You look at Benfica and you look at Sevilla, who have done well in the Europa League in the last 3 or 4 seasons. Our squad's at the right age. Now that we've lost your Jones, your Glenn Johnson, he'll probably play Europa, but he's not going to be around the squad much longer. Gerrard, we've lost those aging players who are actually looking at the time we played in the Champions League the last time. We've got a bunch of 22 to 26-year-olds who are good run in a European competition, play 12 games in Europe to get to the semi or get to the final. It kicks in their development of what it's like playing in Europe and playing in. There's some decent teams. Fenerbahce is one of those ones that you'd imagine that we would meet if we were to do as good as we should have done, and every team in the Europa League is going to want to play Liverpool. When it starts thinning out and gets to quarters, Fenerbahce will possibly be in there again. I don't know exactly who the teams are, but the teams who drop out the Champions League, you can get some decent matches. I hate that. Didn't want to win it anyway. Yeah. Fuck off then.
Yeah, I know.
Did you watch the match?
Because we've done it, and you know what?
I said this 2 months ago, is that I remember sitting here, and I don't know whether you were on the show, but arguing with you about I would play the first team players, and you were like, no, at the time, you were like, no, that's the way to do it. And no, you go, because you're not fucking learning in Europe if you're not playing the first team players. Yeah. Going back to Markovic, he's not a first team player, shouldn't be in the European squad. Yeah. Shouldn't be in that because he doesn't play in the first team. If you want to win a competition, don't start it with your fucking kids. Yeah. And the other thing, the major difference from 2001, 2005 is we had managers who could tactically change it completely for Europe, whereas what we've had over the last few years is the same game plan. And the problem that us and English teams have had in general is we actually have forgotten how to win games in Europe because it's not fucking blood and thunder football like the Premier League. These teams. You
go away from home, you make yourself hard to beat. You maybe nick that away goal, and then if you want to express yourself at fucking home, you go and do it.
But what do English clubs do? We put our kids out. Yeah. How fucking stupid is that? Yeah. You've got Sevilla who are putting their first team out every single fucking game to win the competition, and we're going, we'll give them a run out because our players are tired for the Premier League. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. There's a mentality issue because I think there's a case for some kids because you want that fucking hunger you don't want any complacency. But at Liverpool now, there should be every single fucking player in that squad should be gagging to get on that stage and go and impress. And like I say, I'm sick of the fucking excuses. Absolutely, being a top 4 side should be where Liverpool should be. But you get that by having the best players. If we're not going to go out and buy the best players in world football because we can't afford them, then we need to build the best players in Europe. And the only way you're going to build the best players in Europe is by making your own winners. Okay, we're going to continue with the discussion over on the full show on the redmentv.com. We're discussing all Liverpool's loans out, whether they're good moves, bad moves, and a whole lot more, ranting around the Europa League, etc, etc. It's good fun. It's well over an hour / just over an hour. Check out completely free for a month. Then just £2. We'll annotate it at the end of the video. Click through, watch it, and be happy. Jesse Intense said simply the ref was on crack. Yeah.
And probably
Fair
magic.
Fair play.